The students studying the least are outperforming the ones pulling all-nighters. That's not a hot take, that's what the research consistently shows. And it makes sense once you understand how memory actually works, because almost everything you were taught to do while studying is genuinely not working. Rereading your notes builds recognition. You look at the page, it feels familiar. Your brain goes, yeah, I've seen this. That's not the same as knowing it. Recognition and recall are completely different things, and exams test the one you never practiced. Highlighting does the same thing, so does rewriting your notes word for word. These methods feel productive. According to the research, they aren't. And in this video, I will show you how exactly lazy people actually study better than all of you. So I recommend you not to skip any part. In the 1880s, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus proved something crazy about memory. Between 1880 and 1885, he tested it on himself. He memorized random, meaningless words and then checked how fast he forgot them. What he found became known as the forgetting curve. Here's the scary part. Within 1 hour of learning something new, you can forget almost half of it. After 24 hours, around 70% is gone. After a week, you only remember about 25% of what you studied. And this isn't just old science. The experiment was repeated in 2015, and the results were basically the same. So when you study for 4 hours the night before an exam, you're not actually building real knowledge. You're just getting familiar with the material for a short time. And your brain starts forgetting it before you even go to sleep. He also found the solution. If you review what you studied at the right times, once within an hour, again within 24 hours, then after a few days, and again later, your brain forgets way less. Even one quick review within 24 hours can boost your memory by almost 80%. He also discovered something interesting. If you repeat something 38 times over 3 days, you remember it just as well as repeating it 68 times in one long study session. That's almost half the work, for the exact same result. This method is called spaced repetition, and it's one of the biggest differences between students who study smart and students who just study a lot. The second difference is what students actually do when they sit down to study. In one survey of 645 pharmacy students, 91% said their main study method was just rereading notes, textbooks, or watching lectures again. These are future healthcare professionals, and even they mostly study this way. The problem is, rereading tricks your brain. Studies show that students who only reread think they understand the topic 30 to 50% more than they actually do. Why? Because the material looks familiar, and when something feels familiar, your brain thinks, yeah, I know this. But familiarity is not the same as understanding. Then the exam comes, and that fake confidence disappears fast. Active recall is the opposite way of studying. You close the book, you hide your notes, and you try to remember the information from your brain with nothing in front of you. It feels uncomfortable. Your brain feels slow. You feel like you don't know anything. But that uncomfortable feeling is not a problem. That's actually how learning works. In 2008, researchers Henry L. Roediger III and Jeffrey D. Karpicki found something interesting. Students who tested themselves after studying remembered about 80% of the material 1 week later. Students who only reread the same content remembered about 30%. Same topic, same time spent studying. The only difference was how they studied. Dr. Roediger explained it in a simple way. The act of retrieving information is a powerful learning event. Testing yourself doesn't just check what you learned, it actually builds the learning. The struggle when you try to remember something without looking, that struggle is exactly what makes it stay in your brain. The third factor is what you decide to study in the first place. In the early 1900s, an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto noticed something strange. About 20% of the people in Italy owned 80% of the land. Then he started seeing the same pattern everywhere. This became known as the Pareto Principle. Around 80% of results usually come from 20% of the effort. This also applies to studying. Research shows that a small part of your course usually makes up most of the exam. One study in 2014 found that students who focused on the most important topics first did better than students who tried to study everything equally. Trying to give the same attention to every single topic doesn't make you thorough. It just wastes your time. Smart students don't study everything. They study the things that matter most. Richard Feynman, Nobel Prize in Physics. He understood this about learning better than most people. He kept a notebook called Notebook of Things I Don't Know. Whenever he studied physics, he looked for the exact part where his understanding broke, and then he fixed that part first. The method people later named after him is simple. Number 1, pick a concept. Number 2, explain it in simple words like you're teaching a kid. Number 3, notice where your explanation gets confusing or unclear. Number 4, go back, study again, and make it simpler. Sounds basic, but it's powerful. Feynman explained the real problem in one line. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Rereading fools you. Highlighting fools you. Watching lectures again fools you. But trying to explain something from memory, out loud, in simple words, that shows the truth. It shows what you actually know. The fourth factor is how long you study in one sitting. A student named Francesco Carrillo couldn't focus at all, so he tried something simple. He set a timer for just 10 minutes and forced himself to stay focused. The timer he used looked like a tomato, which is pomodoro in Italian. That's how the Pomodoro technique was born. The idea is simple. Study for 25 minutes with full focus, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 sessions, take a longer break. That's it. And somehow, the guy who couldn't focus ended up graduating with top honors. The lesson is simple. You don't need to study longer. You need to study smarter and in focused bursts, because after a certain point, your brain just stops absorbing anything anyway. The reason this works comes down to how your brain actually thinks. There are 2 modes. Focused mode, when you're locked in, sitting at your desk, actively studying. Diffuse mode, when you're resting, taking a break, or just chilling. That second one might sound useless, but it's not. Diffuse mode is when your brain connects ideas, processes what you just learned, and solves problems you couldn't figure out while studying. Basically, that's when learning actually sticks. And here's the problem. If you study for 6 hours straight with no breaks, you're killing the diffuse mode completely. So yeah, you're studying more, but your brain isn't getting the time it needs to actually store anything. Real learning needs both focus and rest. Students who procrastinate and then study last minute are kind of forced into studying smarter. They don't have time to reread the whole textbook, so they focus on what actually matters. They test themselves instead of just reviewing. They study in short, intense sessions instead of dragging it out for hours. And here's the interesting part. Research shows they often remember more than students who studied way longer but used less effective methods. So it's not always about how many hours you put in. It's about how you use those hours. Looking busy and actually learning are 2 completely different things. You've been taught that more time plus more effort equals better learning, but research has been proving that wrong for over 100 years. What actually works is this: reviewing at the right times, spaced repetition, testing yourself, active recall, focusing on the most important topics, and taking proper breaks. These methods take less time, but give you way better results. This isn't some shortcut or hack, it's just what the science shows. The problem is, no one really told you this, because the system was never designed around how memory actually works. It was designed to look like you're working hard. And since then, you've been getting graded on how busy you look, not on how well you actually learn. If this video helps you in any way, even some seconds, drop a like and subscribe to follow along on this journey.